Hello everyone, and welcome back to Cooking with Suzanne. If you love summer vegetables, you're really going to enjoy this class. Today we're going to prepare ratatouille, which is loaded with summer vegetables. Before we start our ratatouille, however, we're also going to prepare a red pepper sauce because we're going to create a lovely vegetarian entree. So the first thing we want to do is get our red pepper sauce made. Very, very easy, very versatile, and it's a sauce that you can use for many dishes. Okay, I have a saute pan here with just 1 tablespoon of oil. You can either use grapeseed oil or olive oil. And what you will need for the red pepper sauce is 1 pound of red peppers, and you just want to give it a very rough chop. These are just nice large pieces, nice rough chop. 1 sweet onion, once again, just large dice. 2 cloves of garlic, and I sliced it. And 1 tomato from your garden, just rough chop as well. So the first thing you want to do is just put your 1 onion and your pepper all at once. Give that a stir. I will season this with a little bit of kosher salt. This is one time where all the vegetables pretty much go in at the same time. We will do this completely differently when we start our ratatouille. Now we can throw in our tomato. I did not take the skin off the tomato or the red pepper because we will puree this sauce and then pass it through a strainer. So it's very easy to prepare. Our clove of garlic. And I think you can hear that it definitely got very quiet after adding all these vegetables. So we need to bring that back up before we can lower this and put it to a simmer covered for 30 minutes. So let's just take maybe about a half a teaspoon of kosher salt. And if you feel that your peppers have any bitterness to them, sometimes they can be slightly bitter, because you do want this to be nice and sweet. You can always add a pinch of sugar to it. I think these peppers are really nice and sweet, so I think we'll be fine. So let's put the salt aside, and why don't we put in, let's put in 2 really nice, let's just take this, 2 really nice big sprigs of thyme and put that right on the top. And now you can hear it, it's just doing beautifully. So I'll put it on the stove, I'll cover it, and we will set a 30-minute timer. And in the meantime, we can start our ratatouille. Here are all our beautiful vegetables. I must say that if you are looking to improve on your knife skills, this is a dish to practice on because there's lots of dicing going on here. Okay, so let's start. I'm going to just go in the order that we're going to cook this in. What makes a really good ratatouille is when you actually cook your vegetables in stages as opposed to adding it all at once. So I'm going to start with a couple of tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil here. I want that flavor. And we will start always with the hardest vegetables. So onion will go in first. All equal amounts. I have 2 cups of everything. So this was 1 large onion. And this is fairly finely diced. This is probably smaller than all the rest of my vegetables. So we'll put in the onion. I also like to season as we go along. We're going to just kind of layer the ratatouille. Okay, so let's just season the onion with a little bit of kosher salt. And in the meantime, we can talk about our other vegetables. This is doing really well. The next hard vegetable I will put in is 2 cups of red pepper. The red pepper is about, everything here at this point is about a 1/4 inch dice. It's a little bit smaller than a baked ratatouille where you would actually cut it a little larger. So this was 2 red peppers, 2 cups. I also have a fennel, which I love in this ratatouille. This was 1 large fennel, which also ended up giving me 2 cups of beautifully nice diced fennel. We have 4 cloves of garlic, very finely minced. I have a good tablespoon of fresh thyme, which I love. We have a bay leaf here. If you happen to have a fresh or dry bay leaf, why don't you go ahead and put it in your saute pan now. And we have yellow squash and green zucchini. Both the yellow squash and the green zucchini were 2 small, 2 small yellow squash, which equal 2 cups, and 2 small zucchini, which equal 2 cups. And then tomato concasse. And this is where you need to peel, seed, and dice your tomato because we are cooking it. And this was 2 fairly large tomatoes that gave me 2 cups. We also need to dice up an eggplant, so I'm just going to put this aside. Now in regard to eggplant, there's purple, there's white, there's the traditional Italian black eggplant. Use what you're growing or what's in your market, nice and firm. You don't want it to be soft or squishy anywhere. You want a nice firm eggplant. So 2 of these is 2 fairly small eggplants. When they're small like this, they tend to have less seeds, which is also very good. Okay, I'm going to put this on the stove because it's definitely not hot enough. Okay, so you want to go lengthwise with your vegetables, about a 1/4 inch in thickness. And this is exactly the way I did the squash and the zucchini, the yellow squash and the green zucchini. And then actually take 1/4 inch strips again. Now you want to take and hold it together and just make your 1/4 inch dice eggplant. All right, that looks really good. Hopefully you can see that. And now we will go ahead and add our next vegetable, which are the peppers, right over here. So let's throw in our peppers. And it will help to release the water from the vegetables as well. The salt will do that. Give that a stir. And back to our eggplant. So here is our eggplant. And I have an orange out because I love to add a little bit of citrus at the very end. We won't put it in until the very end, but it's really nice to add. It makes it nice and bright, and it's really very nice. Our peppers are looking good. I think we can move now to our next vegetable, which is the fennel. We'll put in our fennel. And we'll just continue to keep layering the vegetables. The last vegetable that's going to go in is the tomato. That takes the least amount of time to cook. So another ingredient that you are going to need for your red pepper sauce is either vegetable stock or chicken stock, whichever you prefer to use. We will use 2 cups of stock. We're going, after the 30 minutes, we will add 2 cups of stock, bring it to a boil, and then lower it and simmer it again for an additional 30 minutes. And then just puree it, strain it, and you have a wonderful red pepper sauce. Let's throw our garlic in next. So that was 4 cloves of garlic that I minced very finely. Get that wonderful flavor in there. Okay, so now goes in our eggplant. Let's season the eggplant with a little bit of kosher salt. I have my tablespoon of fresh thyme here. Smells great. We're going to add that to our vegetables. By the time all of our vegetables are in, there will be no room left in this sauté pan, that is for sure. All right. Season it a bit. Give that a stir. The yellow squash and the green zucchini don't take very long, so we're going to add our green zucchini in. Each time what I'm looking for is just to soften the vegetables just a little bit, enough to give the pan room to add another vegetable. Now it's time to throw in our 2 cups of peeled, seeded, and diced tomato. Let's season it. And stir it in and see if it'll still continue to cook. What we'd like to do at this point is cook it on low, simmered, and cook this for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then it should be done. You will taste it, make sure all the vegetables are nicely cooked but still have their shape, not to the point where it's all falling apart. Let me come over and show it to you real quickly, and then we'll put it back on the stove. Here we go. Now you can see all the vegetables. And we'll let this cook for about 10 to 15 minutes. And taste the vegetables, make sure, and this will be so much better tomorrow. Once the flavors all can sit overnight, the next day it's even that much better. I'm going to come around so you can see what it looks like right now. All right, see how all the vegetables, and it's very, very flavorful. So now we can go ahead and add our 2 cups of stock. Raise the heat, bring it to a boil, and then we will cover this and let it simmer for another 30 minutes. And this time I will only partially cover it. Now this is just bubbling nice and lightly, which is exactly what you want. Okay, this is boiling. Let's partially cover this and lower it. And that's all set and ready to go. Our timer just went off for our red pepper sauce. So let's bring it on over. I did shut off the ratatouille. I let it cook. It took about 15 minutes, and I wish I could show you, but what I look for when I push the vegetables towards me is for the bottom of the pan to be with very little liquid. So there is still some liquid, but very little. So this took about 15 minutes. And we just want to finish it off with a half of an orange. You just want to go in and juice it right over the top of your ratatouille. Okay, and also be sure to remove your thyme and bay leaf as soon as it's done so you don't forget. So our red pepper sauce is done. What we need is a blender. Use the back of a spoon just so it doesn't splatter at you. And the only thing you have to make sure to remove is your thyme. So let's get this on the blender. And once again, because it's piping hot, what you want to do is first get some of the steam out of here. So you just pulse it. And then you can actually see the steam coming out. And you do that 3 or 4 times, leaving the towel on and holding the top well. Then you can go ahead and blend it. Okay, that's nicely blended. And now you can take your sauce, pass it through. This is a cone strainer, but you can use a regular strainer also. It smells really good. So here is our red pepper sauce. Our ratatouille is completely done. And now we can just let this completely cool. What you will need for the entree that we're going to prepare is some goat cheese. This is Lively Run goat cheese from Interlaken, New York. There's lots of great chev out there. This one happens to be my absolute favorite. I've been using this at the restaurant forever. So I absolutely love it. So we're going to need about 1 ounce per entree. And we need phyllo dough and a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. And when we come back after this cools completely, we will make a lovely entree with it. Okay, so we're ready to make our entree. And today we're going to be using phyllo dough. This is very readily available at almost all supermarkets, and you get it in the freezer section. And the one thing that's important to know is that you want to take the phyllo and put this box in your refrigerator and let it defrost in your refrigerator overnight. Because it does take a good 8 hours for this phyllo dough to defrost. And let me just show you a couple of important things to know about working with phyllo if you haven't already worked with phyllo dough. So I have a tray here lined with some saran wrap. Because it's just flour and water and it is so paper thin that if you leave it out uncovered, it will dry out very, very quickly. And it's impossible to work with once it's completely dried out. So you want to unwrap it like so. And here are your sheets of phyllo dough. And put it on your sheet pan that's lined with saran. And you can even take another sheet of saran, place it over your phyllo dough. And generally what's really nice is to take a damp dish towel, just a little bit wet. Place it right over your phyllo dough. So this way here, it's not going to dry out on you. And as I said, the other ingredient we need is goat cheese. And I did go and pick some nice basil leaves. So we will also place a basil leaf in the center. So we have our basil, we have our goat cheese, and we have our ratatouille. And our red pepper sauce is sitting here on the stove, so we're all set. Okay, I have a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, and that's what I'm going to use instead of butter. However, you can certainly use butter here. And you take 1 sheet at a time and place it on your board. It's really very easy to work with. There we go. Cover up the rest. And then I'm going to use a pastry brush here. Just dip in my olive oil. And let me just show you, you want to use your pastry brush always moving away from the phyllo dough. We're going to need 2 more sheets, so 3 sheets total. brush it with olive oil to do this with one more sheet. 3 sheets is plenty. We are ready. I like to use a pizza wheel to cut the phyllo, but you can use a knife too. It works just as well. So you want to make the strips about 1 inch wide. So I have 12 strips here. And here I just have a ring. You can use your English muffin rings, any type of a ring. This is probably about 4 inches. So we're going to use this as our guide. And you're going to place your 1 strip of phyllo straight in the center and leaving the edges overlapping. And you want to now go in this direction. And just make sure it's touching up against the ring mold. So you just want to keep going in and around until the entire bottom is completely covered. You don't want any space. That looks great. So it's completely covered all the way around. Now you want to take an ice cream scoop or a spoon, and you're just going to put, let's just grab this spoon, we can go around, and place the ratatouille in. And I still have enough room here to put in, I have the goat cheese right here, and I just took my knife and just cut out, I would say this is a good 1/2 inch. I weighed it and it turned out to be 1 ounce. So you take 1 ounce of goat cheese, flatten it out a little bit, and place your goat cheese right in the center. And then you can take a basil, 1 basil leaf, like so, and put it right on top of the goat cheese. Now, you want to take more ratatouille and top it off so that the cheese is totally enclosed. And you fill it right to the top of your ring mold. Okay, so then you just want to take your strips and start to go in. If your phyllo is longer than your ring, you would want to cut it. So far, this seems to be working very nicely and I don't need to cut any. And you just keep going around until all of the strips have folded in and your ratatouille is completely enclosed. And then you would want to take your olive oil or your melted butter and brush the top. Take a spatula and just pick it up. Remove the ring mold because you're going to need that ring mold to make more. And let me just come around and show you our phyllo wrapped ratatouille. Now I'm going to just place this on the tray. We'll make another one and then I'll be able to start searing them. You want to have your oven at 375 degrees. Put some oil in the bottom of your pan. Make sure your pan's nice and hot. And it is. And we are ready to sear both sides. About medium heat is good. And you want to get a nice color. And then we're going to flip them. And then you just take a sheet pan with a rack, and they'll go on the rack and into your 375-degree oven for about 10 minutes so that it's completely heated through and the cheese has melted inside. So let's see how this one is doing. There we go. Let me show it to you. You can see the color. They're turning nice and golden brown, which is what you're looking for. And you want to cook this side the same way. Okay? Flip this over so you can see it. Oops. Shut this off. Flip this one over. There we go. Let me come around and show them to you. And now we will get these in the oven until they're nice and hot. I'll set a timer for 10 minutes. Just take your skewer straight into the center, leave it there for 5 seconds, and then you touch your skewer, and if it's hot inside, it is ready, and this is definitely ready. All right, let's grab our plate. Our red pepper sauce is completely heated up, so put a ladle of your sauce on the bottom of your plate. Just rotate your plate so that you can coat the bottom of it. Place it in the center. I do have some fresh chives here. You could also do some basil chiffonade if you'd rather. I'm going to put a little bit, or if you had some either basil oil or chive oil, which would also be beautiful and very flavorful. Let me come over and show it to you. So here is our finished vegetarian entree. So it's ratatouille, goat cheese, fresh basil, wrapped in phyllo with a red pepper sauce. Okay. Well, thank you very much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this and look forward to seeing you again soon.